Well, good morning guys, hope you're all doing well. So we've come further down the valley from Honister where we were the other week there. And obviously you can see it's overcast today, there's not a great deal of light at the minute, but I've found a shot that I think really works. There's some trees off in the distance. In fact, hang on a minute, let me press record on here so you can see what's happening. There's some trees off in the distance back there. Scots Pines, there's a group off to the right and there's a group off to the left there. And then in the middle you've got some bushes in the centre there. So what I'm actually focusing on is that bush in the centre. I'll just kind of highlight it on the back of my screen. And you can just see where I've got my autofocus point now. That's where I'm focusing. Now I've raised the camera up so it's above the level of the fence line, which is just out here. I don't want that fence in the shot. I've got those trees in the lower part of the frame, and then obviously the background of the hills behind there with the waterfall coming down behind. And what I'm waiting for is the cloud is actually passing through the valley there, and the thicker it gets, the more isolation those trees get in the frame, and that's actually what I'm waiting for. Now I took a shot earlier on when there was more cloud and more separation. I'll show you that shot now. So, we've just moved along the lake shore a little bit here, and I spotted kind of a square crop where that valley goes up beyond there, where you've got that sort of V shape and that intersection. There's a lovely bit of cloud moving through there before. It's kind of gone now, it's drifted out, but the cloud keeps drifting through here and creating some nice patterns on those on the sides of the mountains there. You've got a really nice contrast between the white and the dark. So that works really well, and to top that off, the sun's actually casting a nice bit of light just through that cross section there. So I was just kind of focusing on, I'll just bring this up for you. I was just focusing on where that intersection is. I've come to the left hand side of it. I'll just show you where the focus point is now. It's kind of in the middle of the frame. It's a square crop, obviously. I've got quite a lot of sky through there. I've got just the right hand mountains just coming into the side of that frame, just on the right hand side, and you've got more of the left hand side coming in, so that intersection isn't right bang in the middle of the frame, it's off to one side. And I was really focusing on where my focus point is there. I was really focusing on the cloud that was moving through the scene. So what I've got is I've got my f/16 ISO 100, and as far as I can see, a 50th of a second. I'm about a stop and a half to 2 stops under, just to make sure I wasn't blowing any highlights out, because the sun was actually coming right behind that mountain there, so I didn't want that cloud that's there and the detail in it to be lost. So I grabbed that shot, and this is how it turned out. So we're just making our way around the lake now, just looking for different things. The light's kind of changed quite a bit, but we noticed this waterfall here. I just thought I'd check it out and see if there was any shots to be had. Now in this lower section, it's not very interesting, it's quite slow moving. But if you look further up there, there's kind of a bend in the stream where it comes down. And there's about 3 different falls in a row up there. And I think from this bottom section, just a little bit further up, there could potentially be a shot. You're never going to be able to take a shot that takes the whole stream in, the whole waterfall system. So taking like a smaller vignette is probably the best way to do it. So make our way up, maybe halfway up there to where those 3 waterfalls are, and have a look at it and see if there's a potential shot there. So looking at this, you can see this lower waterfall here, and then the next section's in here, and then the section above there. So there's kind of 3 waterfall sections in a row. So looking at it, for me, it's not really working as a shot, because all we've really got is waterfall down here with nothing really going on either side. There's nothing really to make it stand out for me. We've got this tree here, but that's almost in the wrong place. So what I'm going to do is just head up here to where this holly bush is, just in there, and that middle fall's coming down, because I think actually potentially there's more of a shot in there. So hopefully you can see there's more potential here. You've got this lower falls here, which is a lot lower than the one behind it. So there's a bit of interest as it leads down into this pool here. And then the holly bush above. So I'm thinking kind of a vertical shot, just to bring the sides in a bit to get rid of the distractions on either side. There's some nice patterns and textures in the rocks which I can use. And yeah, just practice with the various shutter speeds to get it about right. I'm thinking probably around about 1/4 of a second, 1/3 of a second, somewhere like that might look quite nice, because again I want that texture in there. But it's going to be more of a close-in vignette shot rather than looking at the overall landscape. So I'll get set up and show you what I'm seeing on the back of the camera there. Right, so hopefully what you should be able to see is I've got a nice vertical composition. I've got this smaller waterfall down here in this kind of lower section of the image, and I've kind of got it, it's almost centered. Just kind of press this button so you can, there you go, you can see the focus point now. So I'm just focused on that bottom third there. You can see I've got this waterfall in that bottom third, then you've got the pool in the middle sort of section, and then into that second waterfall back there. Now obviously I've cut that holly tree off there because I don't want to get the whole thing on, because what's going to happen is if I tilt my camera up to get more of that holly bush in, I'm going to get more sky in the frame as well. So I've actually tilted the camera down to avoid that happening. Now looking at this frame, I'm capturing this lower waterfall, the pool, then that waterfall as the background, and then you can see the rest of the waterfall leading up and out of the top corner of the frame there. So I've got it at 1/4 of a second now. I'm going to focus point on there and take this image, and at 1/4 of a second I'm bang on for the exposure. Now what I might find is if I bring this up now, if I bring my last shot up, hang on a minute, I'll just check my blinkies now, and yeah, it's blowing out the highlights in this lower section of the waterfall. So what I tend to do in that situation is, I've got that at 1/4 of a second at the minute. What I'll do is take it a stop under, and that takes it to 1/8 of a second, and I'll take the same image again, and then I'll check that, bring up my highlight warnings, yeah, and that's stopped anything overexposing. So that means what I can now do is use both of those images. My 1/4 of a second image has got most things that are all properly exposed, but it's just this lower section, and what I can do with that is just blend the other exposure into that to get rid of anything that's overexposing. There's not very much, it's just the smallest of bits, so you're not even going to see it really with the rest of the texture that's already happening. So if that shot's turned out for you, I'll pop it up now. So as you can see, we've kind of moved further around to the other side of the lake now, because I really wanted to get this old cottage that's down at the bottom here, at the bottom of these mountains with the clouds going above at the top. The light's kind of coming and going though. We've got more light down at the bottom end of the lake at the minute, so we're just kind of waiting it through to see what happens. I think it's going to be one of these cases, maybe putting a longer lens on and trying to experiment a little bit, picking out details while we're waiting for the light to happen. It's getting on now. I think we're gone to about, yeah, it's 2:15 now. So as the light kind of fades a little bit, we're hoping that it comes down from the bottom end of the valley and shines some sort of light up onto these clouds that are off on the distance there. But I'm going to experiment with the long lens for the time being and see if I can pick out some detail shots first. But what we're going to work on next is the light's just starting to kick off above those hills in the distance there, and you can see all that low cloud coming down. So what I want to do is get the wider lens on and take a similar shot to what I was trying to capture before, which was that little white hut down in the bottom there and a broader strip, so maybe a 16:9, something like that. So I'll get that set up, get this lens switched over and get you to the back of the camera. So hopefully you'll be able to see the back of the camera. I'll just start this recording now. So as you can see, I've got it in a 4:3 format, and the reason for that is I want that cottage out there to be on that bottom right intersection, right where it crosses over. I'll just highlight where my focus point is now, you'll see that. And what I'm waiting for is that cloud that's moving in the distance there across the tops. I just want a really nice piece of cloud over there to give it interest in the back of the image. Now on the lower section of the image, what I'm going to do is actually put a 6-stop filter on to smooth the water out, because there's a lot of movement going on that water and it makes it look messy and distracting. So I'm going to do a slower shutter speed for that, so that smooths out and makes it less distracting. I'll do this shot first, which is for the background of my image. So I'll focus on the cottage there. I'm going to stop under, and that's ISO 100, a 13th of a second at f16. I'll grab that now. Now what I'm going to do now is pop this 6-stop filter on and then adjust my shutter speed to basically stop over this time, because I find that with these filters you need to overexpose slightly to get it correct. And then I'll focus on the same place again and take the second shot. Now this will be a 15-second exposure. If this is worked out and the blend's gone well, I'll pop the shot up now. Well guys, the light's starting to fade now, so I think we're going to call it a day. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. Check out my website for all the workshops we have going on. I have some in Vancouver later in the year with Adam Gibbs. We also have Scotland with Adam Gibbs later in the year as well. Check those out. And coming up in June, we have the Italy trip, and we're looking at some fantastic locations there. Some like this. Some places that are just stunning, like the castle at Roccacalaccio, Emperor's Field, Gran Sasso Mountain, absolutely spectacular. So check out the details for that in the description. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Take care. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.